Hello, you may be wondering, what is Evan cooking now? I'll be making my world famous sauerkraut. So what do I have? I have a nice large bowl sitting on a towel, a clean towel. I have one smallish head of cabbage, knife. I have a 1-quart wide mouth jar. I made this little piece of plastic to put it on top of the cabbage, and then put a little weight on it so the cabbage will sit under the brine. And I use my chicken shears to do that. And I have a top. This doesn't have to be, this can be an old lid, because it's not gonna, we're not canning here, we're just brining. So I already removed a couple of pieces of the cabbage from the top, and I'm going to remove the core now. Oy. So put this on the side. So you see, that's not edible. But we're not going to throw this out. I'm going to use it for my mulch. I'm going to put it back there. And I'll do the same thing on this side. Great. So now I'm going to slice this as thinly as I can. And also I have sea salt. I'm going to need 1.5 tablespoons of sea salt that does not contain iodine. Okay, so this pure sea salt. I'm going to slice it, again, as thinly as I can. And after I add the salt, I'm going to let it sit a few minutes for the salt to work itself into the cabbage. Then I'll use my hands to squeeze and make the salt go all over the cabbage, and that will create a nice brine. I'll let it sit there for a few minutes, and then after that, you will have to sit for 3 to 4 days outside, and then the sauerkraut will be ready. And I can use it in my little sandwiches that I make. I make hummus wraps, and I load it with lettuce and sauerkraut and capers and all kinds of good things. But I made sauerkraut and I just ran out of it, and I have to make another batch. is a large piece. I'm gonna mulch it. So I will see you in a few minutes. And here we have all of the cabbage. There are a couple of pieces here that they may be just a little bit too fibrous. And I'm going to remove them. So here's the salt. And I'm going to mix it a little bit. Make sure the salt goes all over. There we go. So I'm going to let this sit here for a few minutes, and then we'll come back to massage the cabbage. So I have to make sure the salt is everywhere. So we'll make a nice brine. Of course, another thing you can use, if you have a rolling pin, one of those that are a little bit thick, you can use it to pound it. I've used it in the past, and it works very well. If you have a glass bowl, make sure it sits on a towel, because this is... All right, so we're gonna let it sit here for a few minutes, 5-10 minutes. And I'll come back to continue with the massage, the mixing. And now I'm going to start pushing and pulling and tugging, then massaging. This is already very wet. Whoops. You see the volume, you see how much it reduced? When I started it was near the top, but now See, let me show you, there's quite a bit of liquid already on the bottom, see? So the liquid, the brine, we need it to make the sauerkraut. All right, I think this is good. Now I'm gonna, you know, they sell these contraptions to fill the jars, the mason jars, but you know, I don't make sauerkraut that often, so I'm not gonna bother buying it. I have enough gadgets. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start slowly. Adding sauerkraut in here. Found it. Here it is. So this needs to be pushed down to compact it very well, get the air out. Whoops. Let's see. This looks. See, you shouldn't be filling the container all the way to the top, the jar all the way to the top. So this is pretty good. So I'm gonna now use a little one. All right. have a little bit of the brine. It's a messy job, but somebody's got to do it. So as you can see, the brine is in there. And make sure the top rim is nice and clean. You don't want to have any sauerkraut just sitting around. I'm going to push this down. Okay. So now the sauerkraut, between the sauerkraut and the brine, we have that plastic little membrane, and I have to do something special for the little one. I haven't figured it out yet. I will do that and I'll get back to you in a couple of minutes. Don't forget, during the initial fermentation period, to open up the lid and just make sure that the liquid doesn't overflow. And if it does overflow a little bit, that's okay. But don't tighten the lid, because that liquid needs to escape. Okay.